Hi, I'm Dave McDonough. I'm president at Northgate Technologies Incorporated. I'm here at the conference today. I was on a panel earlier talking about why strategics buy startup companies. I had experience with that here in Houston, buying a company called Allotrope that was founded in Texas Medical Center Innovation Center, and they wanted to hear about my experience. I've been with Northgate for 10 years, and I've been running the whole operation, every function in the company for that time, and that's what brings me here.
So Dave, I really enjoyed contributions you made to the panel. As Nunex, we partner with a lot of startups. And one of the first things they want to do is they want to run to the strategics and start talking about their product and their business.
Right.
And sometimes it just feels a little too early.
As a strategic looking at a startup company, you're thinking about risk. Think of it as a checklist. Think about all the parts of your company where there could be risk. And as you think about talking to those strategics, describe how you've taken the risk out of all these different aspects of your company. If you don't have answers for how you've taken the risks out at all those different steps, whether it be regulatory, manufacturing, commercialization, whatever the case may be, if you can't check all of those off and say we've done these things to de-risk this for you, the strategic, it's probably too early. You can't think of it as a one-time event. We talked about creating fertile ground and planting seeds, right?
Yeah.
And so it's okay to approach strategics. You have to know who the right people are, introduce them to what you're doing, recognizing that we know we're not ready yet, but we're going down this path, and I will want to talk to you once we get to this point.
Absolutely.
And then following up at some interval that's not weekly, maybe quarterly, maybe after certain milestones are hit. But it's okay to do that, but don't go in expecting that a transaction is going to happen.
Yeah.
I think the other part of it too is there's a fundamental mindset in the sales business development process, which is numbers, right? It's not one conversation. It's not one strategic. You got to have 20, and you got to have them all kind of moving along at different stages to get the one or whatever that number is. But that mindset's a very different one than I think what many have when they start a company. One of the challenges people starting companies have is what brings them to starting up a medtech company is not what they need to exit the medtech company, right?
Okay.
You have creative people who have some clinical expertise and passion around making lives better for patients that drives them to do something, but they are fundamentally not business development or salespeople. Almost by nature, they can't be. So those skills to think about it in terms of business development in a pipeline is sometimes unnatural. So recognizing that, finding people on your team who can do that could be helpful in moving that along.
Well, that's why these startup teams need that medtech architect, right?
I love the terminology you used in Malta. I was sitting right next to you. I didn't know anything about Nunex. I'm like, oh, this seems like a good idea. I think a lot of the founders, they don't know what they don't know.
Sure.
How would they know who to ask for? If they needed someone to help them commercialize, what would that person even look like? We were just talking a few minutes ago. I still struggle with that in my business, right? So having that medtech architect who knows what the whole building is going to look like can help point out where you might be missing something, and from what I understand, help them with the subject matter experts who could actually help them perform those functions.
Yeah, sometimes it's not always being the expert, but it's the expert of knowing who to bring at the right time and the right amount to answer that question, and then pulling them out that keeps it efficient and lean, and the utilization for that runway is just extends.
It's funny, when I was talking earlier, you look out in the audience and you're talking and you're kind of making eye contact with people, and as I'm talking about commercialization, I saw in a few people's eyes like, oh man, I don't know. You can tell. They just look at it like, I don't know what I'm doing here.
Right.
But I think that's why you created Nunex, is to help with that look.
Well, I appreciate it, Dave. I appreciate for your extra thoughts here down here in Houston MedTech. It's been great. So thank you very much.
My pleasure.